Thank you so much for staying with SABC News. It is now time for SME On Point. Happy Heritage Day, South Africa. September is Tourism Month, and our featured business of the week shows us a glimpse of the recovery beginning to take place in the tourism sector. COVID-19 and its effects have nearly ruined tourism, but the founder of Curiocity is hopeful that the sector will see a revival. This insert was edited by Nhlonipho Skakane. When Bheki Dube started out as a tour guide, he was driven by his love for the arts and storytelling. This love later developed into his vision for entrepreneurship.
So I started off as a tour guide at the age of 16, really showcasing Johannesburg and hidden treasures that resonated with me. And during that journey, when I was taking people on these hidden treasures in Joburg, they were also interested in living, working, staying here. And the idea of then opening a space where I could house these people was born from that. So I opened my first accommodation at the age of 21. And I was very fortunate that I had some private backing that saw my vision and loved my vision and said, hey, listen, we'll give you a bit of boost to get this thing going.
Curiosity's approach to tourism is about providing accommodation and experiences in Johannesburg, Durban and Cape Town. From backpackers to those seeking luxury, the company offers it all. Dube is very aware that the modern tourist lives for unique experiences, and this is what he strives to offer, even in this uncertain climate.
We try and cater for an 18-year-old who's just backpacking around the world, wants something affordable. They very much want to tick all the experiences boxes. They want to be in Soweto, they want to be in Maboneng, they want to be in Hillbrow, they want to be in Braamfontein, but also an intelligentsia. This is a CEO of a business who's been working their entire life. They read about us or come across us on collateral, and they want to come immerse themselves in the cities and the spaces that we are in.
The tourism industry has been one of the hardest hit since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Stats SA, when the lockdown and travel restrictions were imposed, the volume of tourists decreased by 72.6% from 10.2 million in 2019 to only 2.8 million in 2020. This means that jobs were lost while some businesses had to shut their doors for good. Dube says not even de-risking strategies could withstand the wrath of the pandemic. But he was able to be agile and look at different ways of keeping his business alive. And today, he's pleased to see tourists trickling in once again.
Getting drips and drabs of different basically markets coming in, both from a domestic level, because we've been able to convince now the domestic market to travel locally, but also from an international level, starting to see signs of recovery, and particularly also within that edu travel space. You know, it's probably been the most resilient segment in the entire tourism market itself.
With Tourism Month in full swing, Dube is encouraging all of us to explore our neighborhoods.
We would love to encourage the local market to really explore their backyards. At Curiosity, we've created the Curious Locals campaign, which tries to encourage people within Johannesburg, Durban, Cape Town to really go underneath their city skin and really experience that there's so much on offer, also at an affordable rate.
Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg. Thank you to Curiosity as well as Bheki Dube for sharing their story with SME On Point. Our Facebook page is at SME On Point. Our Instagram handle is also at SME On Point. Please do follow us and encourage those around you to also follow us. You'll see that we post all of these episodes of SME On Point on those channels regularly. The Chemical Industries Education and Training Authority as well as the South African Bureau of Standards have signed a memorandum of understanding which will see organizations working together to create and support new jobs in the country's growing chemical sector. This memorandum of understanding will be able to support entrepreneurs with testing, certification, as well as training services, which will ensure longevity of the program as well as the growth of the small businesses within the chemicals sector. But to get a better understanding of what is entailed in the MOU, let's speak to Yeshan Pillay. He's the CEO at Chieta. Yeshan, welcome back to SME On Point. Always good to have you. Firstly, tell us and help us understand how this MOU is going to create jobs, how it is going to happen.
Well, firstly, we must say that collaboration is important to drive innovative solutions. And this collaboration between the South African Bureau of Standards, or SABS, and the chemical sector, or often known as Chieta, is an example of a successful collaborative partnership to drive the growth and sustainability of small and medium enterprises in innovative ways. And this collaborative partnership between the two organizations will create new jobs in the country's growing chemical sector. The memorandum that we've signed with the SABS will span a period of 36 months, and it will involve a variety of services from assessment to testing to licensing approval, and finally to get the SABS stamp that is so critical for the success of many small and medium enterprises.
Yeah. So Yashin, there's a general challenge of testing and certification of products. Help us understand how entrepreneurs will be able to get over this hurdle. I have encountered a lot of small businesses who have amazing products, but their inability to get them certified actually stops them in their tracks. How is this going to help, this MOU going to help in addressing this?
With our direct interactions with more than 80 small and medium enterprises that we have supported as the chemical CETA, they quite directly indicated to us that there are two major challenges. Firstly, it takes a considerable amount of time, almost 6 months at the very least, to obtain an SABS permit. And by that time, the opportunity for an SME may have been lost. Secondly, the costs of obtaining an SABS permit may range from anywhere between 100,000 Rand to 200,000 Rand. And these are costs that any small business simply cannot afford. And so with this new program, through a partnership and collaboration with the Johannesburg Business School at the University of Johannesburg, we seek to reduce the processing time from 6 months to at least 3 months, and to fund the costs associated with obtaining an SABS permit for the 100 or so small and medium enterprises in the chemical sector that will be going through this 5 million Rand entrepreneurship traction program that we have funded as the chemical CETA. So with the reduced costs, with the cost compensation, as well as the reduced processing time, we'll have far greater opportunities for small and medium enterprises.
Yeah. So as we try to encourage different markets and encouraging that our products should get out to the different markets, maybe let's spend some time on taking entrepreneurs through why testing and certification is important once you have a product in place.
In the chemical sector, we have, for example, supported the manufacturing of chemical detergents, beauty products, household care products, many of those associated with the FMCG or fast-moving consumer goods. And many of the small and medium enterprises seek to put their products onto shelf. And so with having an SABS stamp of approval, there are three major benefits when you go through this quite a stringent testing and licensing process that is undertaken by the SABS. Firstly, by obtaining that stamp, you have increased competitiveness for your small and or medium enterprise. Secondly, it opens up new windows of export growth opportunities, especially taking advantage, for example, of the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. And thirdly, you have new local business opportunities for SMEs in the chemical sector in order to get their products to shelf. And so the role of the SABS is really to take them through that process in a shorter period of time, thereby increasing efficiency. And Chieta will fund the costs for those 100 chemical small and medium enterprises.
Yeah. Yashin, I'm glad that you actually touched on the issue of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And I'm wondering about the small businesses and entrepreneurships that are within the chemical sector and what kind of strides they've made in trying to take advantage, as it were, of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Has there been any movement in the sector at all?
For small and medium enterprises or SMEs, there has been very little movement. And the whole objective of such programs and such collaborations between the SABS, Chieta, and UJ, for example, through the Johannesburg Business School, is precisely to take advantage of these new opportunities for exporting your products within the continent. And so, as from a legislative and regulatory point of view, we have new opportunities. These support programs will ensure that we start small, grow the sector, make sure that we have your small and medium enterprises expanding into firstly Southern Africa and then firstly onto the continent. So Not at this stage, but the support programs such as the one that I'm referring to now will see at least 100 SMMEs access those opportunities on the continent.
Before I let you go, give us the details of how small businesses within the chemical sector can get hold of Chieta, as well as other important information that they would need to in order to be part of this training that you mentioned earlier on.
Well, our website has much of the information at www.chieta.org.za, and much of our programs are exposed on our website. We run this program in partnership with the Johannesburg Business School, and would encourage those. 100 of the SMMEs have already been selected, but we would encourage others to look for the new programs that will be coming about in the next financial year, where we will take on a further 100 or so SMMEs. So please look to our website where more information can be made available.
Yeshan Pillay, the CEO of Chieta or Chieta, thank you so much for joining us on SME on Point. We really appreciate you sharing all these different things that are happening within your industry. Thank you so much. That's the CEO of Chieta or Chieta, whichever one you'd like to pronounce it with, Yeshan Pillay, and this is all from SME on Point. Please do remember to keep the rands and cents circulating in your communities and support those small businesses, particularly in this long weekend. Please buy from them. And that is all from us.